Bismillah. Take the questions from tonight, please. And then if they run out, we'll take the old ones, inshallah. Those who are online participating deserve.
Is it permissible to believe in chi, energy? Is it permissible to use energy to see how much medicine an individual needs, dosages?
Khayr, inshallah. Is it permissible to believe in chi? First and foremost is define chi. What's meant by chi? Do you mean something that goes against the text of the Kitab and the Sunnah? Something that pertains to polytheistic beliefs, beliefs of idolatry, beliefs of shirk and kufr, the use of spirits and things like this, the souls of the ancestors, something pertaining to sihr and sorcery? That's one thing. Obviously, that's rejected. To believe in it, to use it, and to practice it, and to benefit from it, clearly. As far as if you mean by the word, quote-unquote, chi, something that Allah Azza wa Jalla has naturally placed inside of the human being's body. Power, energy, stamina, something that can't necessarily be explained, or in which there's difference on how to actually tangibly explain it, and it's something that is natural and is clearly tangibly proven, then that's a different story. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows what He placed inside of this human being's body. The mind, the heart, the nervous system, the skin, the fingernails, the toenails. Only Allah knows. What the people have discovered, what they've conjured together, the theories, that doesn't mean that they've realized everything. That doesn't mean that they have encompassed everything. Allah, Rabbul Alameen, He, Al-Khalaqul Alim, created the human being. So let's just stop and ask a theoretical question. Do you think that it's possible for a human being to encompass everything that Allah placed inside of the human being? A theoretical question. Allah, Alamul Ghuyub, Ahsanul Khaliqeen. Allah tells us they can never encompass His ilm. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِهِ عِلْمًا لا تدرك الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار واللطيف الخبير. Ayah after ayah after ayah. Allah praises Himself and lauds Himself way beyond anything else or anyone else. So is the creation of man from Allah's khalq? Is the creation of Allah from Allah's ilm? Is the creation of Allah from Badi'us Samawati wal Ard? He who made the heavens and the earth without any precedent. وَإِذَا أَرَادَ, and when Allah wants something, قَضَى أَمْرًا, He only says, kun fayakun, be, and there it is. So can a physician, a surgeon, can someone who deals with the mind, with the heart, can they totally encompass Allah's ilm and what He placed inside of a human being? I'll let you answer the question to that. So that's my opinion on chi. What's meant by chi? Natural energy inside of the body. And just because you don't understand it, or the Western scientists and Western physicians and people of these different fields of expertise, just because they don't agree with it, or they don't acknowledge it, or they haven't classified it yet, or they don't accept it in their school, in their way of thinking, it does not mean that it doesn't exist. And it does not mean that it's haram and that it's sihr, as many people think. When they see something, when they hear something, they automatically say, sihr, sihr, sihr. It's sihr, that's sihr. Don't you know, some years ago, the telephone was considered sihr. As they say, the famous story in Saudi Arabia, when the first telephone wires and poles were placed, they said that some of the shuyukh there sent people to go and recite the Quran on the telephone poles and the telephone wires. They sent people to give ruqya on it because they considered it what? Shayateen and demons. How can you be in one place? Hello? Yeah. And the person is another side and they hear your voice. How's this? Except for what? Sihr. Do people say that telephones are sihr? Look at the telephones now. Internet. You use a WhatsApp. You record a voice message. In a split second, the voice message is what? Thousands of miles. Just as you recorded it. Do you understand how that works? Are you a sound engineer? Do you understand the ins and outs, the scientific depths of how the sound travels, bounces off a satellite, etc.? Do you understand that? No, you don't. But you believe in it, and you don't call it what? Sihr. So perhaps, and Allah knows best, there are things, ancient things, that people, Allah allowed to learn about, and Allah allowed to discover and to study with the human being, with the earth, that they did and they practiced, that you may call what? Sihr. How does a magnet, or how does a compass work? What is moving the needle? They say it's the what?
Some magnet.
Nah, it's not say some. They clearly scientifically explain it. But to another man, he says that the compass is what? Clear sihr. What do you mean? What magnetic field? What are you talking about? Everybody understand this? So we have to be very careful when we say something is haram and something is sihr. If someone has on a type of bracelet, they say, oh, that's sihr. Oh, that's tamima, and that's this and that's that. Everybody understand this? Another man may say, well, it's made from this, it's made from copper, it's made from kether. The earth has natural things in it, so on and so on and so forth. So we have to be very, very, very careful when we say something that's haram and something that's sihr. What's important is the reality of the concept. If it's based off of something of spiritual, spirit world, supernatural type of thing, then that's one ruling. If it's something that is tangible, something that can be scientifically laid down, whether everyone agrees on it or not, then that's what? That's something different. And just because you're not willing or you're not capable of devoting yourself to a way and a practice doesn't mean that the next person is practicing sihr. To some scholars of hadith, you may say that it's sihr. How can a scholar of hadith memorize this entire book by heart? Look how thick this book is. You know how thin these pages are? You know how many pages in this book? And he's memorized every single line. And this is only 6 books of hadith. It's not Musnad Imam Ahmad, Muwatta Malik, Musnad al-Darimi. This is just Kutub al-Sitta. And this alim in Timbuktu or in New Delhi or in Karachi or wherever he is has done what? By heart. And he can quote it just like that. How can he do this? Except that how he lives is not like how you live. He doesn't eat the foods that you eat. He doesn't drink the things that you drink. He doesn't sleep how you sleep. He doesn't have pictures and images and sounds and cars and trains and things that weaken and confuse the memory like he does. Let alone he is studying for 14 hours out of the day. You know how long that is? He's memorizing for 10 hours out of the day. He's making review for 10 hours out of the day. How many hours do you read? How many hours do you study? How many hours do you sit down with Kutub al-Sitta? So it's unfair for you to try to tap into his world of memory unless you're willing to do what he does. And there may be other practices in which the people devote themselves to that art. They may devote themselves to that type of medicine, and they've discovered things, and Allah has given them the ability to do things that those who aren't willing have no clue about. And it's unright, it's unfair for you to say that it's what? Sihr. Everybody understand this? Of course it's sihr to you, but it's not necessarily sihr to him, because he's studying for what? 14 hours, 20 hours out of the day, reading. So to him it's just hard work, and to you it's sihr. And the same applies to those who designed this iPad. To you it's sihr, but to him it's years of blood, sweat, and tears, developing, programming, research, millions and millions of dollars being spent behind this product being finished. So that's my opinion on chi. Wallahu a'lam.
Are menstrual cups permissible to use? They are similar to tampons, but reusable. And if not, why not?
We say anything that prevents the blood of menses from soiling a woman's clothes, soiling her body, and making her uncomfortable and unclean, so on and so forth, it's permissible to use as long as the matter itself is pure and as long as it doesn't do direct harm to the body. It doesn't do harm, direct harm to the body. It's something that's tahir, it's halal, the matter, the actual thing, then it's unrestricted. There's what? It's unrestricted. Reusable, as long as it's washed and it's cleansed, it's hygienic, and it's nothing Islamically wrong with it, There's nothing wrong with using any type of product, sanitary napkins and things like this, with those conditions. With those what? With those conditions. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
What is the right thing to do in the following scenario? Zuhur came in and she was going to pray in a bit. When she went to go do wudu, she realizes her menses has begun. When her menses is over, does she have to make up Zuhur?
When she comes off of her menses, she should make up the Dhuhr prayer. And that is because Salat al-Dhuhr came in and she was tahira, she was clean. In other words, when Dhuhr came in, she was from those people that Allah said about وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, establish the prayer. When she realized that she had the menses, the time was already in. Another scenario which is very important is, what do you think? Do you think the menses came before that and you just didn't realize it? When do your menses come? Do they come early in the morning and you didn't realize it until Dhuhr? Or can your menses come from 11 a.m. to 12, etc.? So if you know for sure every month the menses come at a specific general time, then in most cases the menses that came before you had realized it, but not necessarily. Whereas she realized it later on, she felt it later on. So therefore, when she comes off of the menses, she makes the ghusl, she should make up Salatul Dhuhr. And many of the fuqaha also say she should make up Salatul Asr as well. However, Dhuhr is clear. Asr is more of a detailed argument. It's best to make up Dhuhr and Asr. But we know for sure, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, at least Salatul Dhuhr. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Can you wet toilet paper and use that to do istinja?
Can you wet toilet paper and use that to make istinja? Yes, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing wrong with that, bi'idhnillah. Rather, some of the fuqaha mention using dry matter and using water together is akmal, is better and cleaner and pure. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.
How does a woman determine which is menstrual blood and which is not, what is not when she has a prolonged cycle, or when she is menstruating twice a month? Is there really only 40 days after giving birth of postnatal bleeding, or is that an average? And if a woman goes over, she can wait to start praying until she becomes pure?
Question is, how does a woman realize when she has prolonged bleeding, irregular bleeding, istihada, what is menses and what isn't menses? We say there are different ways of realizing it. The first way is, and this is not something that all of the ulama agree upon, but let's just lay it out. The first way is does she have a normal time for her cycle? A normal time for her cycle. Hypothetically speaking, a woman is 30 years old. Okay? She's 30. She got her first mens when she was, let's say, 12. Hypothetically speaking. How many years has she been menstruating? 18 years. For 18 years, her menses have come in the beginning of each month. And they haven't lasted no longer from 4 to 6 days. 18 years consistently. The first of the month, the second of the month, maybe the third of the month. And when they come, they are no shorter than 4 days. And they're no longer than 6 days. Everybody understand this? For 18 years consistently. Then all of a sudden, when she was 30, let's say she took birth control because she made Hajj and Umrah and she didn't want to miss. She wanted to finish it, so on and so forth. Or she got married, she wanted to get pregnant. Whatever the case may be. She took some other type of medicine. She was in a car accident. She had a surgery, etc. Her menses started going crazy at the age of 30. Now she's been bleeding for 20 days straight. 40 days straight, 50 days straight. But before this, for 18 years, her menses were what? It was consistent. They were stable. So some of the ulama, they say, she is to consider 6 days in the beginning of every month to be what? Menses. Even though the blood on the 7th day is the exact same as the blood on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd day. Even if the blood is consistent, they say she is to go back to her normal, consistent, well-known cycle. We understand this? Her well-known what? Cycle. Her well-known cycle. Once again, for 18 years, she had a consistent what? Cycle. Menstruation for 18 years straight. That's a very long time. Then all of a sudden, it started to become inconsistent, unstable. So they say, even though she's continually bleeding, the beginning of every month, she's going to make her menstrual cycle for how long? 6 days. On the 7th day, the blood continues to flow. She is to make ghusl. She is to use the necessary sanitary napkins. She is to make the 5 daily prayer. She is to fast, make i'tikaf, and her husband can have sexual intercourse with her. Other types of sex and vaginal sexual intercourse. Everybody understand this? Even though she's what? Bleeding. Even though she's doing what? Bleeding. Those ulama who say that a woman cannot touch the Mus'haf al-Sharif, they say for the 7th day until the beginning of the next month, they say she can do what? Touch the Mus'haf al-Sharif and read the Quran al-Kareem directly from the Mus'haf. Even though the blood is what? Flowing. Everybody clear on this? Outside of those 6 days, they say she can't do what? Can't pray. You mention it. She can't have sexual intercourse. Anything that a menstrual woman cannot do. Everybody clear on this? This is one way. Another way is to distinguish and to differentiate between the blood itself. A woman is bleeding for a month straight, but she noticed in the beginning of the month, once again, the first 6 days, the blood is what? Thicker, darker, has a worse odor. She has back pains, abdominal pains. Her character, her demeanor, her akhlaq, she feels a bit, everybody understand this? On edge. So she is to now make herself what? What is she to do during those 6 days?
She's mincing.
There you go. She is mincing during those what?
Those days.
First 6 days. On the 7th day, the blood does what? It continues to do what? The blood does what on the 7th day? It continues to flow. However, it isn't as?
Mincing.
It isn't as thick. It isn't as? Doesn't smell. Her back doesn't? Everybody understand this? The signs that the blood is no longer the blood of menses, but it's the blood of the irregular blood flow. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand? That's the second scenario. Everybody understand this? Third scenario is she doesn't have a well-known time. The time she was 12 years old until she became 30, her menses was what? No, we mentioned the stable one already. That's done. Inconsistent. Coming in the beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month. The menses could be 3 days, 5 days, 8 days. Everybody understand this? Also, the blood flow is what? All the same. There is no thick blood. There is no dark blood. There is no blood that has a bad odor. She doesn't feel any back pains or her attitude or nothing like this. There is no way for her to do what? Determine. So therefore they say she goes back to her family members. Her mother, her sister, if she has a daughter, her aunt, her grandmother, paternal, maternal aunts, and she asks them, what are your menses like? And she has 12 female family members, 15, I don't know him. And all of them give her a general consensus that our menses are in the middle of every month, no less than 4 days, no more than 6 days. So what is she to do? In the middle of every month, she's to do what? What is she to do in the middle of the month?
Not fast, not pray.
She is to consider herself to be mincing. Even though the blood is the?
Flowing. Blood is flowing.
Even though the blood is the same. Even though the blood is what? Same. She's bleeding for 30 days straight. 60 days. That's not even in the equation. She's always what? Always bleeding. So that's not even in the equation. The blood, the nature of the blood is no what? There's no distinction. It's all the same type of blood. She has no specific signs on her body what is and what isn't menses. Nor did she have a... She never had a stable menstrual cycle. For 18 years, she never had a what? She never had a stable menstrual cycle. So therefore, she used to go back to her family members and ask them when they have their menses, what they tell her, most of them, 7 out of 10, 15 out of 20, 25 out of 40, whatever the case may be, she makes that her time of menses. In which, so in the middle of every month, 4 to 6 days. Let's start with the maximum. 6, no more than 6. What is she not to do in those 6 days? She is not allowed to do what? Make salah. She's not allowed to? According to those ulama. She's not allowed to? Fast. She's not allowed to? She's not allowed to sit in the masjid according to those ulama, etc. The next day, the 7th day, after the middle of the month, the blood flow is the what? The exact same. There's no difference. She's bleeding. She is now considered tahira. She's considered what? Pure. She can sit in the masjid and the blood is doing what? Flowing. She's making tawaf and the blood is flowing. We have to say it. You have to say it. Her husband can have vaginal sexual intercourse with her and the blood is flowing. As if she's not mensing anymore. So this is what a woman is to do with regards to when she can't figure out what is and what isn't, or when it's just continual blood. Everybody understand this? And a woman, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is going to fall under one of these 3 categories. Consistent mens, distinction between the types of blood, and her family members. Her what? Her female family members. Very important for every student of knowledge, or rather every Muslim, to get a basic of the concept of menses. Because you come from a woman, you get married, you have children, you have daughters, you have nieces. Let alone if you're a student of knowledge with the Imam of the Masjid. Everybody understand this? And this is why Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala is quoted to have said, جَلَسْتُ فِي كِتَابِ الْحَيْضِ تِسْعَ سِنِينَ ثُمَّ فَهِمْتُ. He says, I studied menses and the chapter of menses for 9 years and then I understood it. And some of the ulama, they call a woman that can't distinguish between the type of blood, that doesn't have this, and they call it muhayyira, a confusing woman, because they didn't know what to do. However, as Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala said in Sharh al-Mumti', that bi'idhnillah, the chapter of menses is easy and simple. And that is to take these views and opinions that are proved by the Kitab and Sunnah and reject the views and opinions that are outside of the Kitab and Sunnah. And there are many different other issues of menses. How long can a woman mince? How short does a woman mince? Touching the mushaf, sitting in the masjid, etc. That we've explained before, and they're going to come in the next chapter as well. Wallahu ta'ala alam. My advice, go back to those books that deal with the fiqh in English. Read them, study them. In Arabic, if you're a student of knowledge, it's unnecessary for you to be weak in this chapter, as many are. Unfortunately, they're asked a basic question about menses and they can't give the proper answer with the dalil. Wallahu alam.
Brother asked, what is this channel about?
Question says, what is this channel about? Inshallah, this will be the last question that we take tonight. We say this channel by the permission of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is about Allah and His Messenger. Bi-idhnillah. Hadith disciple, inshallah, we hope, we can't say this, we hope that it's about Allah and His Rasul, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And calling the people to Allah and His Rasul. Teaching the people about what Allah says and what His Rasul says. In general. With a special focus, with a bit more intense emphasis on what the Rasul said. When he said it, how he said it, why he said it, how to understand it, and how to practice it. So as we've put on the channel description on YouTube, it is to enlighten the Muslims, educate the Muslims, call the Muslims. It's for ta'lim, education. It's for thaqafa, general reading, general enlightenment, tarbiyah, cultivation, and also dawah, wa'adh, admonishment as well. And it gives a special focus, as we said, on the hadith and its sciences. For those who speak Arabic, those who don't speak Arabic, those who are 9 to 5 Muslims that need to know about hadith, those who are studious laymen, those who are aspiring, they want to go overseas, I want to go to Yemen, I want to go to Egypt, I want to go to South Africa. Many brothers in the Islam University of Medina and other places, Kuwait, we get messages from all over the world. Alhamdulillah, they watch the videos and they benefit from them. And they speak Arabic fluently. Walillahi alhamd. Because we try our best to bring the fawaid from the classical books of the ulama. Bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what Hadith Disciple is about. From the things that Hadith Disciple channel is about is merging the old with the new. The classic with the modern. Taking the classic old stuff and putting a new face on it, a new polish on it. a new concept to it, and giving it to people in a simple, easy, basic way. Bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Hadith Disciple is about in brief. If you really want to know what Hadith Disciple is about, you have to watch the videos. You have to correspond, send the emails, ask the questions, watch the videos, read the books, the things that we've put out. And you'll get a bit more on the philosophy behind Hadith Disciple. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد.